Welcome back, everyone, to week 5 of the North Carolina High School 2023 football season. This is our educational video football series to help officials improve on our skills, knowledge of the rules so that we can get better at our games each week. Let's get into our plays for this week. First play here of the week, we're going to take a look at a punt play, and we're going to focus on the line judge on this play. And notice as he works his way downfield, the ball goes up in the air, and by the bill of his hat, it looks like he's looking up in the air. And nothing's going to happen to the ball up there. So our focus needs to be on the players on the field. And if we focus on the players in the field, we'll be able to see the action there, and that's where the action is. Also, the players will most likely move towards where the ball's going to be or in the vicinity of the ball. So if you watch them, they'll take you to the ball in most cases. If we get caught looking in the air like this, we can miss something happening on the field, miss a foul or whatever, and not pick it up because we were looking at the ball. Ball watching is a problem that we all have, but we got to work on improving. Next play we're going to take a look at involves the goal line. And here we're going to watch the play through, and then we'll go back through and take a look at it with some illustration. This is a play where we'll have to rule on whether the ball crossed the goal line or not. And from this angle, we can't tell. But the two wing officials, the head linesman and line judge, need to come in strong on these types of plays. They need to come down to the goal line quickly, turn, and come in towards each other. If they have to communicate with each other before ruling it, and then they can do that. But if you come in strong, quick, hustle in with a strong signal, it sells that call, which alleviates some problems. And on this play, you can see that across the field, the head linesman comes in some, but we'd like to see come in a little bit stronger on this, a little bit closer to it to make that ruling and signal, and that will help sell the call. Our next play here, we're going to focus on the line judge on this play. We're going to see the line judge throw a flag for what looks like encroachment on the defense. This is a dead ball foul. So the line judge does a good job, throws his flag, and then what part does he forget? Well, we need to stop the clock signal. That's part of it. We need to stop the clock on these plays. We need to give that signal. Let's not give coaches something to argue about or say you didn't do this or that. This is a simple throw the flag, stop the clock, and we're on to the next play. The next play involves a DPI, defensive pass interference here. We're going to see the play and ball's in the air, and then you can see the player get pulled down by the defensive back on this particular player. Well, let's take a closer look at this. As we take a second look at the play, we can see the two players involved, the receiver and the defensive back inside the gold circles. And as the play develops, we're going to take a look right here with a contact. And it looks like the receiver is getting by the defensive player. So the defensive player decides to grab and tackle the eligible receiver, and the ball's in the air, so we have a defensive pass interference. This penalty, as you remember, is enforced from the previous spot, 15 yards. And you can see right here, he tackles the player. So this is a great job by the head linesman getting a good look at this play and flagging this defensive pass interference on this play. Great job. The next play here, we're going to take a look at a kickoff, and we missed the first part of it, didn't catch the first part of it in the huddle clip. And as you can see here, the receiving team gets the ball, and then the line judge appears to kill the play. So let's break this down a little further. So we can see they spot the ball there. So what happens? So we have a kick in progress, a free kick, and from what the video shows here, it looks like the receiving team recovers the ball and then takes off running. And it looks like that the line judge does take off initially running with the receiving team and then stops and comes back. So this can happen. It's probably happened to a lot of us. But what we need to do on these plays is think this through before the kickoff. Talk to yourself and remember, hey, if White gets the ball, they can take it. If the other team, the kicking team, gets the ball, they can't. And you can see right here where he comes back and throws his beanbag like a spot of first touching. So again, talk yourself through these plays before the play so that when it spins, you're ready for it and you'll be better prepared and this won't happen to you. And like I said, it's probably happened to all of us at some point in time. But talk yourself through these plays before they occur, especially on kicks, punts, and so forth. Next play we look at here is a suspect defensive pass interference. We're going to take a look. We're going to look at the two players at the bottom that were in the gold circle, and then we'll leave the screen for a minute, and then we'll come back. And we're going to watch this. We're going to play this all the way through, and there's the possible DPI. So we're going to take a second look, and here, again, the two players at the bottom of the screen in the gold circle, and we're going to look at this more closely. And like I said, again, I want to illustrate. Our view in this camera, this angle is different than what you're going to have on the field. Number one. Number two, right here, I think the arm possibly is suspect. The left arm of the defensive player is suspect here. But maybe you have a better view of it on the field. I can't. It's hard to question the judgment here, but it does look suspect. And my point is, we just have to be aware of this and look for these things. I think if he does not put that arm out at all, there's definitely probably no, defensive pass interference here. This arm, though, is potentially suspect. Does he use it to ward off or push off that defensive player? And again, like I said, you're on the field, you have a different view, it's live time. It just looks a little suspect right here where he gets his arm out and he may or may not create space. Like I said, it's hard to tell. But the point here is we have to look for this, we have to watch for this, and we have to be able to determine it and make a quick decision. And by this video, I can't really overrule what they called in the field here. The next play here focuses on dead ball officiating, and we're just going to have a simple run by the quarterback here for a first down. It's going to come to the head linesman's side. But we're going to talk dead ball officiating. How important is dead ball officiating? So as we come up here, right here, we have a first down, and it looks to me like the head linesman possibly turns to look over his shoulder, maybe to the chain crew or whatever, to communicate with them. But let's be cautious. Let's be careful. Let's wait for the players to separate in the dead ball situations before something happens in front of us and we miss it because we're not looking the right way. Yes, we want to communicate with chain crew, but we also want to focus on the field first. That's our primary. Our secondary is the other things. And when we miss these things because we might be looking the other way. Again, here we have the back judge who looks down, looks like he might be setting his watch or whatever, and we still have players engaged here potentially, could have a dead ball situation. Learn how to do this without looking at your watch, maybe, or do something, wait a few seconds or whatever you need to do. But we need to have eyes until players start separating because we don't want something to happen and we miss it. So just work on that in your games this week. The next play looks like just like a forward handoff here to the runner by the quarterback, and then we have a runner down and a flag, and that's all it looks like, right? Well, let's take a closer look at this play and see if you've seen everything that we're going to talk about on this play. Okay, so now we've seen this play live time one time. Let's see if we picked up on everything we're going to talk about in this play. So we have a simple play here that looks like we have the quarterback receive the snap, hand the ball off forward to the running back and over here. Now, off on the other side of the field, in the middle of the field, away from the action, we have these two players engaged. So that would be the head linesman's responsibility, off-ball officiating here, to keep an eye on those two. But we're going to come back to those two, and we're going to focus over here on the line judge side, on everybody outside of the hash side. So first of all, we have a flag here. The line judge throws for a holding call right here by the line judge. But then as he's throwing that flag, we also have a ball out on the ground. Now, this player was ruled down on the field. Now, there's nothing in this video conclusive enough to say whether this was a fumble or not a fumble, so we're going to go with what the ruling was on the field. But another thing to look at here is when did the ball come out? So you're throwing a flag, and then the ball comes out. Then finally, we have those two players over here. And I can tell you inside this box, the gold box, we have all but the quarterback who's indicated by the arrow, and then the two players in the middle of the field. So that means 19 players are inside this box, which would be the back judge, umpire, line judge, and referee are probably looking over here. So the head linesman has these two players here in the middle of the field engaged inside the circle and has to keep an eye on them, off-ball officiating, so that we can ensure. And as you can see right here, the player throws the other player down. The player in red and white throws the player in blue and white to the ground. And we've got to be able to see that. We've got to be able to rule on that. But as you can see, as we slow this all down, there is a lot going on. We've got those two players over there. We've got a foul right here by the line judge. We have a possible ruling on whether we have a fumble or a downed runner. And then we have those two players over there, which looks like they're still engaged after the play is over. We've got to have our eyes all over the place on these types of plays and be alert. The next play here, we're going to let the play run through. We're going to have an interception and a return by the defense. And on this play, we'll talk about it after break the play down. But I will tell you that the head linesman on this crew did a crew saver, saved the crew by what he flags here on this play. And so let's take a second look at this and see if you saw what the head linesman saw and save the crew, basically. So they used to say, don't fish in someone else's pond, but on these types of safety fouls, we want to. So we have the interception here in the return, and we're going to look right here inside this gold circle. We're going to have a blind side block, a blind side block that is committed. And the only flag I see on this is from the head linesman. And yes, this is on the other side of the field, but due to the fact that this is a safety foul, a blindside block, safety foul, the head linesman comes across and flags it and does a great job. And this is acceptable on these types of plays, because if we miss this and then somebody brings it up, we don't look as good as a crew. But if we get this, even though it's the off official across the field, that picks up the rest of the crew. And this is a great job here by the head linesman staying focused and doing his job. Next play we're going to take a look at involves possible again, offensive pass interference because of where the camera angle is. We do not have the best angle to tell on this play, but we have to rule on whether this ball was beyond the line of scrimmage or not. And then was the offense blocking downfield? And so let's take a closer look at the rule, and then we'll look at the play again. Let's look at Rule 7.5 regarding pass interference, which states pass interference restrictions only apply beyond the neutral zone and only if the legal forward pass, untouched by B, in or behind the neutral zone, crosses the neutral zone. Pass interference restrictions are in effect for all A and B players until the ball is touched or the pass is incomplete. Pass interference restrictions on a legal forward pass begin for A with the snap. It is a forward pass interference if any player of A or B who is beyond the neutral zone interferes with an eligible opponent's opportunity to move toward, catch, or bat the pass. So as we take a closer look at this play, I can emphasize enough how important it is on these types of plays for the head linesman and line judge to stay on the line of scrimmage to be able to see this more clearly, as this camera angle does not give us the best angle to see this on this play of whether this pass crosses the neutral zone, is indicated approximately here where we have the line of scrimmage line approximately from the angle we're looking at. As we can see here, the ball's in the air and we have two offensive players downfield blocking defensive players. So now we need to know, does this pass cross the neutral zone? Because if it does, we would have pass interference, offensive pass interference. If it does not, then we would not. So that's why it is so important for, again, the head linesman and line judge to be in great position on the line of scrimmage to be able to rule on this. And as you can see from this angle, this is very close and very difficult to rule from this angle. And that's why it is so important that we stay home on these plays as wing officials to be able to rule on this play. Let the play develop before we move downfield too quickly. Otherwise, we will be in a bad position or a poor position to be able to see this and not make a good decision on it because of our angle. The only place to be able to see this is where our line judge is coming into field of play on the line of scrimmage at the time of the play. That concludes our week 5 educational video for this week. Thanks everyone for taking the time to view it. And I hope you again join us next week and view week 6 educational video. Until next time, take care and stay safe.